The phrase good and evil has always been complicated in Hollywood, where public image often clashes with private reality. Hugh O'Brian, remembered by audiences as the upright lawman Wyatt Earp, lived long enough to witness decades of shifting values in the entertainment industry. He came from a background rooted in discipline, service, and structure, which deeply shaped how he viewed fame and behavior. As Hollywood evolved, so did his reflections on power, ego, and responsibility. Rather than seeing actors as villains or saints, O'Brian reportedly believed the industry itself rewarded excess and excused behavior that would never be tolerated elsewhere. His perspective was shaped not by scandal, but by contrast, between what audiences admired and what he personally valued. For O'Brian, morality in Hollywood was less about labeling individuals and more about recognizing how unchecked fame could distort character. His reflections were cautionary, not condemnations, rooted in disappointment rather than bitterness. From medicine to the Marines, Hugh Charles Krampe was born on April 19, 1925, in Rochester, New York, into a family that valued education and service. Initially, he envisioned a future in medicine and enrolled at the University of Cincinnati with that goal in mind. World War II changed everything. O'Brian enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and served with distinction, becoming one of the youngest drill instructors in its history. The experience instilled discipline, leadership, and a lifelong respect for structure. Unlike many who entered Hollywood seeking escape, O'Brian arrived carrying responsibility. The Marines shaped his worldview permanently, teaching him that actions had consequences and leadership demanded accountability. Those lessons stayed with him long after he traded uniforms for scripts. His military background set him apart in an industry known for indulgence, grounding him in values that often clashed with Hollywood culture but ultimately defined the man he became both on and off screen. A chance encounter with Hollywood. After the war, O'Brian's entry into entertainment came unexpectedly through a chance encounter with actress and director Ida Lupino. She recognized his presence, confidence, and natural authority, qualities shaped by his military service rather than theatrical training. Hollywood in the late 1940s was still ruled by studios, contracts, and carefully managed images. O'Brian fit the mold of the era's leading men: handsome, composed, and commanding without arrogance. He began with small film roles, gradually building credibility rather than chasing attention. His rise was steady, not sensational. O'Brian approached acting as a profession, not a fantasy, bringing seriousness to a business often fueled by ego. That mindset earned him respect among peers and executives alike. Even early in his career, he remained somewhat distant from Hollywood excess, treating success as responsibility rather than entitlement. Becoming Wyatt Earp, Wyatt. In 1955, Hugh O'Brian's career changed forever when he was cast as Wyatt Earp in The Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp. His portrayal emphasized restraint, moral clarity, and quiet authority rather than bravado. Audiences responded immediately. The series ran for 6 seasons, making O'Brian one of television's first true Western icons. Unlike many action heroes, his Wyatt Earp resolved conflict with intelligence before violence. The role aligned perfectly with O'Brian's real-life values, reinforcing his public image as a man of principle. He became a symbol of justice during a time when America craved stability. Yet fame never altered his demeanor. He remained private, disciplined, and focused on work rather than celebrity. Wyatt Earp didn't just make O'Brian famous, it cemented his belief that storytelling carried moral responsibility, especially when shaping young minds. A life beyond acting. While acting brought recognition, Hugh O'Brian believed his greatest contribution came outside Hollywood. In 1958, after meeting humanitarian Dr. Albert Schweitzer in Africa, O'Brian returned deeply changed. Inspired by Schweitzer's philosophy of service, he founded the Hugh O'Brian Youth Leadership Foundation, known as HOBY. The organization focused on empowering high school students to think critically, lead ethically, and serve their communities. Over the decades, more than 500,000 young people participated worldwide. O'Brian considered this work his proudest achievement. He attended seminars personally, mentored students, and remained actively involved well into old age. Unlike fame, which fades, he believed leadership education created lasting impact. Hobie reflected his conviction that character mattered more than applause. For O'Brian, this mission balanced Hollywood's illusion with real-world purpose, navigating fame and privacy. Despite decades in the public eye, Hugh O'Brian remained fiercely private. He rarely discussed personal relationships and avoided Hollywood gossip. This discretion sometimes led to speculation, particularly regarding his personal life. Over the years, various claims and stories surfaced, as often happens with public figures. O'Brian consistently chose silence or formal legal responses rather than public debate. In his later estate documents, he addressed these matters directly, clarifying his position without elaboration. Whether motivated by privacy, principle, or emotional distance, his approach reflected consistency. He believed public curiosity did not entitle access to private truth. In an industry built on exposure, his restraint was unusual. O'Brian drew a firm line between his professional image and personal life, maintaining dignity even when narratives formed beyond his control. Love later in life. In 2006, at the age of 81, Hugh O'Brian married Virginia Barber, a schoolteacher nearly 3 decades his junior. Their relationship had begun many years earlier and was rooted in shared intellectual curiosity and respect. The marriage surprised some, but for O'Brian it marked companionship rather than spectacle. The ceremony, held at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, reflected both reverence and reflection. Instead of a traditional honeymoon, the couple traveled to Oxford University to study and engage in philosophical discussion. This unconventional choice embodied O'Brian's belief in lifelong learning. Barber, with her background in education, complemented his passion for youth leadership. Their marriage was quiet, thoughtful, and deeply personal, mirroring the values he upheld throughout his life. It was not a reinvention, but a continuation of his commitment to growth and connection. Reflections on Hollywood's darker side. Late in life, O'Brian reportedly shared candid reflections about Hollywood's culture with close confidants. These reflections were not lists of villains, but expressions of disappointment in how fame could distort behavior. He believed talent did not excuse arrogance, and success should never justify cruelty. His concerns echoed those of many who witnessed Hollywood's contradictions over decades. O'Brian admired craft, but criticized excess, particularly when power overshadowed responsibility. His observations reflected generational differences rather than personal vendettas. Raised on discipline and service, he struggled with an industry that often celebrated indulgence. Yet even in criticism, he avoided spectacle. His views were cautionary, urging accountability rather than condemnation. O'Brian understood that no industry creates character, it reveals it. Longevity and quiet influence. Hugh O'Brian's acting career spanned more than 50 years, including films, television guest roles, and special appearances. Though forever associated with Wyatt Earp, he adapted gracefully as the industry changed. In 2005, he returned once more to the role that defined him, honoring its legacy without clinging to it. His presence always carried dignity. Colleagues remembered him as professional, prepared, and principled. He never chased relevance, trusting substance over visibility. That restraint allowed him to age with grace in an industry obsessed with youth. His influence extended quietly through mentorship, philanthropy, and example, rather than controversy. O'Brian proved longevity came not from reinvention, but from consistency. The end of a remarkable life. Hugh O'Brian passed away peacefully on September 5, 2016, at the age of 91 in his Beverly Hills home. His death marked the closing of a chapter that began in Hollywood's golden age and extended into modern television history. Tributes poured in not only from fans, but from educators, students, and community leaders influenced by his youth foundation. He left behind more than performances. He left a philosophy. Discipline, service, learning, and ethical leadership defined his legacy far more than fame. While Hollywood remembers him as Wyatt Earp, the world remembers him as a man who believed character mattered. His life serves as a reminder that true influence is measured not by applause, but by the lives shaped quietly along the way.